Chris Landry on your radio, segment 2 on a Monday. Chris, let's shift to a little college football as teams are in spring practice. First off, I want to get your take. I don't know if you had a chance to really dive into the article that was out on The Athletic last week about this Super League proposal by some rich people and some executives and such. But it looks like more and more heat is coming down the pipe for college football to have some sort of reform. It's just, what does that look like and who makes it happen?
Yeah, I think that is definitely what it feels like. There's a separation and a kind of a status separation, if you will. But it is very difficult, and everybody speculates, well, it could be this or that. And I think everybody kind of nibbles around it because we don't really know. I mean, I think every possibility or every setup comes with some challenges and hurdles. I think we have to, and this is, again, I've said this a bunch, we don't have anybody looking out for the overall leadership of college football. I mean, everybody, it's everybody for themselves. So can't blame, Greg Sankey or Tony Petitti or, for looking out for their conferences. But what is best for the SEC or best for the Big Ten is not necessarily what's best for the overall college football. I mean, do we want a sport where it's basically just 30 teams? I mean, maybe we do. I mean, it's a rhetorical question, but it's how do you want it? I mean, that could be. So that means that no one else is really in a position. And there's some people I talked with an assistant AD last week, and the comment was made to me, the ESPNs and the Foxes of the world, they don't want to have the TCUs of the world on TV. They want to have, Texas and Alabama and LSU and Oklahoma or Georgia and, and I mean, that's what they want. Maybe that's where we're headed, and maybe we're going to separate into some form of an AFC, NFC in college football. I don't know what happens to the rest of them. How does that play out? Are they lawsuits? I mean, that gets into areas that I don't know what to make of it. But, yeah, the changes are coming. I don't know how it's going to all settle in and coalesce together, though.
Chris, I know we've talked with you, a lot about Ole Miss and Mississippi State, obviously being right here in this state. But when you look at now the expectations of this Ole Miss program, where we're looking at some stuff from some other writers nationally, a lot of people say, hey, look, this is a team that can go win a game in the playoff. Not only can they get to the playoff, they can go win a game in the playoff. They can make Final Four in the playoff. When you look at Ole Miss, and I know you got a lot to do before we get to the season and just really evaluating these rosters and such, and we'll see what happens with this transfer portal window that's coming up, and some of these chess pieces will move around again. But and we've talked about this. This is the most anticipated Ole Miss football season maybe ever in the program. Are you on board with everybody else that Lane Kiffin has that type of team this year?
First of all, I think it is. The only one I could think about that's bigger, and I know I'm dating myself here, but 1969, or am I missing it by year? I can't remember back when you didn't have many games on TV. I remember ABC saying we're going to move the Ole Miss-Alabama game on, and that was kind of because those two teams are national championship contenders back in long time ago. It's a new era. It's playoffs expanding, and I think some would look at Ole Miss, at least in the media, that, hey, they might be contenders even if we were just 4 teams. And could they absolutely make the playoffs? And, absolutely, people think that. I think this is a good team. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they handle and manage the expectations. So I think Ole Miss has done a really good job and I thought last year was good, I think maximizing kind of who they are and winning games that they should win, but getting over that hump is where you need to continue that, but get over that hump. Can they do that? Is it going to be a difference against Alabama because Nick Saban's not there? I think that's going to be the key. I think this team is good. I think that when you see things like, well, they're top 5. Well, what's top 5? I mean, to me, there's a gap between you take a Georgia and Ohio State roster, and there's a gap. So to me, it's 1 and 2, and there's a gap. So 3 to maybe 8 or 9 or 10 might be interchangeable. I think Ole Miss could be in that conversation at 3 or 8, but to me, there's no difference. And I'm curious to see how it all develops. And I think if they end up, having a season that's falls short of those expectations, it's going to be frustrating because, quite frankly, I still think the program is in great shape and in good shape. But if they go 10-2, is that a disappointment? I don't think so. I think that's a great year. But maybe they're expecting more this year.
Chris Landry, talking football, college, and the NFL on a Monday. Make sure to find him on X at Landry Football, LandryFootball.com. Chris, one more question. Let's talk Georgia. Are you, when you look at the quarterbacks in the SEC this year, Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart, Quinn Ewers, you can go down the list here, but Carson Beck is getting a lot of love as a odds-on favorite right now to win the Heisman, and that makes sense because we know that award is going to go to the best player on the best team. What do you see when you see Carson Beck?
I see a guy that really played a lot better as the season went along. He grew and developed. His decision-making, his poise, very good. I think people kind of lost sight of that after losing to Alabama, conference championship game. I think the guy's got lots of talent, and he's got lots of intangibles. And he's on a team where he doesn't have to play hero ball. Now, it used to be that if you play well and your team wins, big advantage on winning a Heisman. If it's going to be all about numbers, well, it's probably not going to be ideal for that. No, I think I would put him in that upper tier as well because I think he has not only the ability to do it, but I don't think the numbers are always are going to be gaudy compared to some others because, like Jaden Daniels won it because he carried LSU. He doesn't have to do that. And some of the other Heisman guys have done that. He was their team. Caleb Williams was. I think Carson Beck is going to be a really good quarterback on a really good team, and he's got to steer the ship. And I think if he does that and he makes pivotal plays in pivotal games that maybe might determine whether they win or not down the stretch, that might be enough for him to certainly be in that race.
I got a few seconds here. Let me ask you one more while I got time. Brady Cook, same question, Missouri. How high can he take Missouri this year?
I think he's good. I think he's talented. Now, I think he's going to have to play better by comparison of just talking about with Beck. I think he's going to have to do a little bit more. I mean, I think certainly they were very good offensively. I'm curious. To me, it's about how well will that defense play without Blake Baker running it. What will they look like? Because to me, that is the difference. I think Cook's going to have to score a lot of points. That offense is going to have to be high-flowing because I don't know how good that defense is going to be, and that's going to really determine how high they can go this year.
Make sure to find him on X at Landry Football, also LandryFootball.com. Chris, always appreciate your time. If you're watching a little basketball tonight, enjoy the national championship game, and look, we'll talk to you next week.
Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate